Hey, in this video, I'm going to show you how to read data files of various types into R using RStudio. The first thing you want to do is you want to set your working directory to the place where your data files are. And to do that, use the setwd command. It's a nuisance to type in, so it's often helpful instead to go session, set working directory, choose directory, and find it that way. You can see more of a demonstration on that on my first R Basics video. Once you've done that, you can read in files that are in your folder, and you'll see on this Files tab, it lists the ones in your working directory. So what I've got here, all right? And you will also see here listed, you'll see not just your data files, but all files. Example1.r is actually the name of this particular script file. All script files, which are the files with our code in them, are .r. So you'll see all of those there in case you need to know. Well, one of the easiest ways to read in data is the CSV formatted data. So I'm going to do that first. And what you do is you have to give it the name of a variable that you're going to read it into. I'm going to call it data1. You saw something pop up with it when I typed in data1 because I had previously used that name. It's okay, I'm overwriting it here. And what I'm going to do is read.csv, and I'm going to put in the name of the file using quotation marks. And make sure that those quotation marks are straight. They don't have any curliness to them. If you've copied and pasted them from some other Word program or something, they may be curly and then it won't work. And I want you to notice when I do this, it gives me also the options up here. The file is the file name. I've just typed that in. By default, it assumes that there is a header in the file, meaning the first row in the file is variable names. Okay, that's what the header is the first row. So if my first row does have variable names in it, I'm fine, because the default is what's specified here, header equals true. If I wanted to type in header equals false, I would change this to header equals false, type it in as an option if there were no header. There's no variable names as the first row. Or I can type in header equals true, but I don't need to because that is the default. And again, if I click here, as if I'm doing this, okay, it'll pop up for me. Header is one of the options or arguments I can put in. And it's going to tell me that true is the default, okay? I'll just put that there again so you can see it. Next after that, you see in that yellow box, it says that SCP or separators equals. That's again another argument or option you can put in. The only thing you have to put in is the file name. The rest of these are options in this particular case. It's saying the separator between data is a comma. That's the default. That's what CSV files are, comma separated files, and so forth. And there's some other things that are a little bit more advanced that I'm not going to deal with here. But so for the most part, this is how you want to type it in, except for if there is no header, then you've got to type that header equals false in. And then I'm going to hit run. I see no error down below, so I'm fine. And then what I often want to do is I want to look to see if the data looks right. There's a couple ways I can do that. I can use this head command. Okay, so head function, put in the name of the data frame, hit run, and it'll show me the first 6 rows. Or I can do the opposite of that, use the tail command and hit run, or I can type that in, of course, directly down below, and it'll give me the last 6 rows. Another thing I can do is if I look over here on the right on this environment tab, so there's a variety of tabs. If you click on the one that says environment, if I click on this one that says data 1, it's going to pop up in a new tab here where I can actually see the data. And I can go through and scroll through the entire data there. Okay? So that's another way that I can look at and check my data. And finally, another thing you might want to do is just look at summary statistics for your data to make sure that they all look correct. I typed summary data 1. Now you'll notice here I can't see all of the response. Of course I can scroll up, but I can also use these things here to toggle that window bigger and smaller so that I can see a little bit more at one time. I may do that for here to increase this if I'm writing a long program and I just want to focus on the writing of the program and not on any output down in the console. Another thing you can do is you can change the size of these windows various ways. Okay, so you have more space in other windows. Okay, so that's the basics. We've got loaded in data using the read.csv. Now, I can also read in other types of data, but for most other types that are commonly used, you're going to need to do something called adding a package. R has a variety of packages that can be added, so just extra features that you can add to it that give you different functions to do things that you want to do. And one of those packages is called foreign, and that allows you to load in basically data from foreign programs, from other stats programs. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. If you come over here to this window, see this Files tab? You want to come over here and click on the Packages option. Let me just make this a little bigger. This Packages tab shows all the additional packages added. Some of them came with our by standardly, but it also shows all the other ones I've added. Okay? And to add a package that's not there, you're going to click on the Install button and you're going to type in the name. There we go, foreign, like that. Okay? And see it pops up, meaning it recognizes it found it from this place called the CRAN repository. This is where most packages are. There may be times when some private person has their own package they didn't put there that you have to get from their website and other places. And if that's the case, then you're going to be using you're going to download that package first onto your computer as a zip file or a tar.gz file, and you are going to then use this option and find it on your computer to install it. But I'm going to leave this here. Don't play with this. This is where it's going to look for that file whenever you want to use it. And you always want to leave this box checked. The install dependencies means maybe this foreign package itself uses other packages that need to be downloaded, and it will figure that all out and download all those as well if you leave that checked. So that's what you want to do. And then click Install. And I'm going to hit Cancel because I already have it on my computer. Once that's done, it doesn't mean that you can use that package. To use that package, you need to use this library command. So you type in, and I always put it within my code so that I remember to do it when I'm running a program. If I'm running a program several times or something, or making similar versions of it or whatever, I remember to include that I'm going to use this package. It just activates it. So, I guess to save memory or whatever, it doesn't have everything active at once. So you have to activate the packages that you want to use that are and to do that, you use this command, or you can go over here in this Packages tab and you can find it. Okay, so it'll be showing up there once you've installed it, and put a check mark there. Mine already has a check mark because I've already run this command during this session. Now you have to rerun this library command every R session. So if I close down R and reopen it, then that package will not be activated. I have to reactivate it. And I'll get errors like that a certain function doesn't exist because I'm trying to use a function that's in the foreign package and I didn't activate the foreign package. So it's really important you do that. And again, I instead of just checking it, I usually put it in my code so that I remember to do it. And then you just have to, let me decrease that a little bit now. Click on the Run button, and that will activate it, and you just hopefully do not see any errors down below. Okay, so once that's done, I can now use that package. And another thing I wanted to show you over here is if you come over, we go back up to where it shows foreign. If I click on that, it's going to open the help for that package in this help tab, and it'll bounce me right there. So I'm now, this tells me, it shows me basically the packages the different software type data files it can put in. It has you can click on now these various things. This is a description of the package. Okay, and A lot of that's not real helpful to you, okay, in the particular description. But I can go back and it shows me these are basically all the functions that this package includes and allows me to do. You notice here there's a read.spss. That's one that we're going to use. Okay. And we're going to do a read.dta, which reads in data files. We're going to try it, but there's a variety of other ones that you may use that I don't use as commonly. So what I'm going to do is now create a new data file, and I'm going to do read.spss. Whoops. This error with this package, I think the particular version I have is a little bit problematic. And when I type it in, you'll see it pops up again with this information. And I want you to notice a couple things here, okay? The first one is, of course, that you're going to put in the file name. That's the only thing you have to do. The next thing, it says use.value.labels equals true. What that basically does is, say you've coded 1 male, 2 female, it will read in the words male, female, and not the values 1, 2. The reason is an SPSS data set is more complex than a data frame like you're reading this into here. And so in SPSS, it keeps track of the fact that 1 is male, 2 is female. Well, with this particular feature, at least using the data frames here, it doesn't do that. You have to pick one or the other, either 1s and 2s for males, females, or the words male and female, which are the value labels. So by default, this use value labels equals true, so it will just read in the words male, female, as opposed to the numbers. So if you don't want it to do that, you will add the option use.value.labels equals false. The next one is also important, 2.dataframe equals false. That imports the data into what's called a list, which is a little more complex of a type of object here in R. And for most people, at least beginners, you really don't want to be dealing with a list quite yet. I'll get into a video that deals with them at some point, but I'm not going to right now. And the rest of the things shouldn't be an issue at this point. So I'm going to put in the name of the file, again in quotes. And SAV is the name of the file, and it's SPSS. Okay, and now what I'm going to have to do is I want that, let me go back here so you can, if I do this, this should pop up again. Hopefully we'll get this to, we'll pop up there we go. I want to see the hints for us. The easiest way is sometimes just to retype, and it's going to give me the, okay. Okay, so that options is just being funny about it today. There's something problematic, I think, with this version of the package that I'm using. But is we're going to remember it had the option about as data frame. So if I'm not sure what the command is, I can just start typing, and it will come up with an option. Will come up with the options for me that work. And so I want to make that an as data frame is true right there. So that's another way to get at it if you're having a problem with the yellow thing popping up. And I haven't had that happen before. I think I just may have some kind of a problem with the harmony of this new version of this package and my particular version of R that I have. So this is typed in. I'm just going to hit run, and you'll see that this is up here, and I should be able to click on data 2 and see it, and you see it's here showing it as a list. So I think because of the problem, let me just make sure I typed in that correctly. Data frame equals true. And that's a little bit problematic. I apologize for that, but it's good to see what happens when things go wrong as well. It should be 2.dataframe equals true. Okay, not as.dataframe equals true. So let me hit run there, and you'll see this pop up here. If I click on it, I can see it listed here. it looks like it's supposed to, or I can use the head tail command and so forth for that. So there's just like this slight bit of extra complexity with using to read in a SPSS file. Now let's read it in. We're going to do errors in this. I haven't had them, like I said. Got a corrupt version of something. Read.dta is an SPSS file. So you're going to see the options that come up here again in this yellow box pop up, or you can click on the function over here to see what the options are. And I'm going to do favorite subjects.dta. And again, I just double check. Yes, that's the name of actually is the name of the file. Run it. Okay. And I've saved that as data 3. And looks like there's an error in it because of the version of this particular data set doesn't match what it can do. So it has to be in versions 5 through 12 of Stata for it to work. And I've come up with this before. It's a little bit problematic because Stata now has more recent versions than that, so it may be saved differently. For Stata after version 12. So in theory, you can read in a Stata file, but it becomes a little bit problematic. Now, the way to get around this is if you are a Stata user, just go into Stata, save the data set in version 12 or earlier, okay? And then run this line of code again. So there's a little bit, again, of a problem. Not everything's perfect. Okay. All right, now what about an Excel file? That's a little bit of a different issue. It actually uses a different package to read in an Excel file. And the package that it uses, let me find it over here. I've already installed into my computer. So I just have to find it. And if I'm not sure, I can use the search button here. Here it is, read Excel. Okay, so what you'll have to do is type in library read Excel like that, or check the box. This box is already checked, but I just want to show you again how to do that. And I don't get any errors, so I'm okay. If I want to learn more about how to use it, I click on it there, and that pops me over to the help spot, and it'll show me all the functions down here. Okay, so you see there's various options for reading in Excel files, and it's possible that they all work equally, but I typically use the last one there. And I could just overwrite these other data files because obviously they're all the same in the end. I don't need to use them all, but yeah, that's some kind of problem. I probably just need to close and reopen my R. Okay, so I'm going to use this particular version. Okay, read XLSX, and you'll see again when I get here, it's giving me the options. Path is really the name of the file. Okay, and it's favorite subjects.xlsx, and you'll notice up here sheet equals null. Just by default, it's assuming there's just one sheet. If there's more than one sheet in your Excel file, say you want to read in sheet number 3, then you just type in sheet equals 3 and so forth. You can just, by default, it assumes there's column names, okay, and so forth. So there are some options here that can be helpful, but I want to keep this not too complicated as this is kind of an introductory video. And you'll see it reads it in, and it always gives this kind of a option here. It's just a option to how much it's going to print out for you when it reads it in, but it's not. I mean, it has read them all in. You don't have to worry about whether it's read them all in. It has. So it's got these all in here, and so that's another way to reading your data. Having said all that, my favorite way to do it is just with a CSV file. I don't have to mess with using other libraries. And so if I'm getting data from out of another software program, I'll often use that software program just to save it as a CSV, and then I don't have to worry about doing any of these, extra things here, or remembering how different options for different, functions work and so forth. So I will do that most often. However, that doesn't help if somebody, say, sent you a file that's in SPSS or Stata format or Excel format or something like that. And of course, if it's Excel format, you can generally open in Excel and then save it as CSV. But if you don't own a license to SPSS and that's the only version of the file you're able to obtain, then you're going to need to use these kinds of functions.